Welcome one and all to episode 10 of Titan Teatime. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me as always I've got my two co-hosts, Steven.
Hello.
And James.
Well, how's it going?
And in today's, or in this month's episode of Titan Teatime, we are discussing the most recent chapter of the Attack on Titan manga, namely chapter 128, Traitor.
When I read that title, I was a little scared.
I was like,
I don't know if you guys were. I was like, oh no.
Oh,
I don't know.
I definitely was. Let me ask you guys, what were you guys' where did your mind go when you saw the name? It was Traitor.
Immediately, Jean.
Yeah.
Because of what you said yesterday.
Right.
Because of that. Otherwise, I don't know who would have thought of. I would have been just like, I don't know.
Right.
But that time I was like, oh crap. Petter's going to be right. How? No way. I totally misread this.
Yeah,
At least so far, that's not the case.
and like as I said last month, like that theory I had or speculation I had about Jean potentially like betraying the group, like the alliance, was only like something I felt after reading the chapter the first time. After my second read through, I had no such feelings. But when I saw this title of this chapter, I got that feeling again. Right. Oh boy. How about you though, Steven?
I mean, I'm pretty much the same, although I wasn't as hard set as you guys on Jean.
Okay. Right.
It's just like, well, I mean, Petter did say last month that, Jean could betray, so why not go with that theory as I start reading this? Something that I have the chapter fresh in my mind right now because I actually read it for the first time like 2 hours ago.
Oh, nice.
Oh my.
So I'm basically like off the cuff essentially.
Perfect.
Where should we start tackling this chapter?
Right off the bat, we have this conversation between Hanji and Magath, and Hanji spots what I feel should have probably been seen sooner, maybe. I don't know. But there's this massive amount of steam coming from the wall titans having walked across the water.
You would think that they would spot that a while ago.
Right, exactly.
So, the funny thing is, when I first read that, and she has that moment where she kind of is shocked and what she sees, I was like, what? Is it the water? The boats? Like, what is she? I couldn't figure out what she was like shocked or astonished by until she brings it up later on in the chapter. So that that was a little dumb moment for me. But when I read,
a little hard to miss.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was like clouds, just in the background. It's a pretty scenic piece. Anyway. But going back and reading, it's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, like why she pauses there and everything. But it's just interesting. But we'll get to that later when they bring it up again. But
yeah, and I wonder if because I can't remember. Well, so last month I was on 2 Attack on Titan podcasts. For anyone who's not aware, I was on this one obviously, but I was also a guest on You Hear Big Girls, a really good other Attack on Titan themed podcast. Anyway, what I was about to say is that I wasn't sure if I talked about it on this one or on theirs, but I said something anyway last month about at first I was like Eren could have created a bridge with his Warhammer powers to lead the wall titans across the water, but then I was like, wait, though there's no bridge to be seen, there's no titans to be seen, and so that led me to kind of second guess myself and be like, well, maybe they didn't do that. But now seeing the steam here and there's concrete evidence of the wall titans having crossed the water, then I think that's a better possibility now, for Eren to have made a bridge with his Warhammer powers.
I mean, it's definitely possible,
because I don't know how they would have crossed the water otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only other possibility is that they're underwater.
Right.
I mean that's intense pressure underwater. So.
Yes.
That seems even less likely, but.
Precisely.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, like that. Yeah, that would be the other option, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I have thought of this though, and if they walk across the the ocean floor, they would get no sunlight down there because it's so deep. Like it's so far down, there's no sunlight, and I think Titans need sunlight, right? They get energy from sunlight.
You know what? Who are we to assume that the Titans can't swim? Huh? Like, maybe they know the breaststroke.
You're right. We have never seen
come
a
on.
Titan swim.
We just see, like, thousands of colossal Titans swimming. Oh, my God.
Some doing scissor kicks, some doing... Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, well... Anyway, yes. But, yeah, that was nice. We got to see some of that. And then we get into, I guess, some of the plan making for how to get to the flying boat and all that.
Yeah.
Something I love that was kind of started in the previous chapter and Isayama's bringing it back into this one is having Annie the realist around, because she questions the things like by like the core, like the main 104th group, how they're like, oh, but we shouldn't harm these people because we know them. It's like, yeah, but they're your enemies now. And I really like that about Annie, and I'm really glad that she is back into the story and is able to fill this type of role.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also like how Pieck kind of comes in and is like, even though like she's definitely Marleyan, like she realizes that that'd be bad for us if the Azumabito die as well.
Right.
So you know, even on the Marleyan side, they're, at least in this group, they're trying to think realistically, or, you know, not cause as many casualties as possible.
Precisely.
Except but Annie is the realist, though, you know, and she says, yeah, but what does it matter as long as we get our goal, you know, and stop Eren.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's killing a group of people here in order to save the entire world. Like, sure, it's sad, but it's all, yeah. I agree with Annie very much here in this bit.
I mean, I see where she's coming from, but as Oyankopon says later on, like, they need some of the Azumabito in order to pilot the sea ship, whatever they call it, the plane.
Yeah.
And, you know, so if they kill all of them off, or, you know, if they end up killing most of them, like, that's going to be an issue. So they have to think of a way to go about this without, you know, causing that much destruction. And at least leaving enough Azumabito. I mean, that's a terrible thing to say, but enough of them alive to pilot the ship.
Well, yeah, or at least to
plane.
Prepare the ship, or
prepare the plane.
Yeah, that's true. Like, just rushing in, guns blazing might have not done the trick.
Right.
But I mean, as we see later on in the chapter, it does kind of end up.
It kind of
like, it turns into that. But I think thanks to Connie and Armin being like making their way into the scene before that, and like thanks to them being right where the plane is when the whole thing kind of blew up. I think it's thanks to that they aren't screwed yet.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's a combination of not diplomacy, but like, I guess deception and combat ultimately. But then there's there's one panel a little bit later. It's the same scene where Annie is like, Armin, tell me your big plan, just like you did when you drove me into a corner. Like, she's talking about like the female Titan arc and how Armin deceived her. I understand what it's referencing, and I understand that this. I mean, she's looking to Armin because Armin is good at coming up with plans and stuff like that. But it also feels almost like she's looking for sympathy points somehow with that, like the expression she has when she says that. Maybe it's just me. What do you guys think?
Well, what do you? I guess I'm trying to understand what you mean. Like, sympathy, as in like.
Well, she's kind of...
Armin, please help me. Or is it more like, surely you understand that there's no other way? Like, is that...
No, I feel like kind of unrelated to the ongoing matters. Like, she almost wants people to feel sorry for her. Or something like... Something along those lines. by bringing something like that up and putting it the way she put it.
The way I take this is perhaps Annie. One way you could take it is Annie knowing that Armin isn't in the same mindset as he was when he fooled Annie, or he had his plan to capture Annie. And she sees this or has seen this as they've gone about their trek, if you will.
Right.
And so maybe this is a way to coax him to come up with a plan, or to encourage him, or some other way.
I agree with James on that.
I don't know. I mean, we'll get to my thoughts on it, on Armin in a sec, but I don't think this is necessarily her trying to gain sympathy or favoritism or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm
right now
reading it wrong. I do think that Annie sees Armin as a very smart person, as most of them do, and I think a lot of them, not all of them, know, but a lot of them think that Armin is the grand tactician among the group.
Absolutely.
But he's just not there. He's not in the right mindset, as I've said time and time again.
Yeah.
So perhaps this is Annie trying to push him in that direction.
That's a good point. I kind of like that.
I hope that Armin gets out of this funk before the end of the title.
Oh, well.
I hope so.
Worry yourself not, because I think we may have already seen it.
I mean...
Yeah. But actually, something I thought of, like, when you were talking, I remembered back to the previous chapter. There was something that I kind of just laughed at. Previous chapter, there was, like, at the end of it, when they're approaching this, where they are now, they're, like, all on the wagons.
Mm-hmm.
After the whole main scene of the previous chapter.
Yeah.
There's one very, like, small, like, kind of throwaway panel where after Jean says that he can never forgive Reiner, there's, like, this small bit where Annie is like, and what about me? Can you forgive me? Something like that.
I thought we said that was just a joke. I mean, I always took it as a joke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at the time I did. And up until right now, I'm like, so I guess right now, I just started feeling like, what if Annie what if she has, like, a great desire of being forgiven? Because I feel like that's something that could make sense with her character. I mean, obviously it makes sense for her to feel a lot of guilt for the many, like, awful things that she's done. And for her to want to be forgiven, I think it makes sense. And so I feel like this line here, I mean, yeah, I'm probably spending way too much time at it, like this one panel where she's saying, like, this little thing. But this, in combination with the throwaway line in the previous chapter, which seemed like a joke at the time, kind of makes me view her, like, on a little bit of a deeper level in regards to well, yeah, the stuff I said about, like, her wanting forgiveness.
Right. Well, so when I say joke, I don't mean that she said that as a joke.
No.
I think it was more written as a joke.
Absolutely.
Like it's supposed to be taken comedically, but I do think she is, like, trying to search for forgiveness. And I mean, I think last chapter, not only that scene with Jean, but even the conversations with Mikasa, and how are we going to kill Eren and whatnot. I think there was a sign of trying to understand and seeking forgiveness there. But here too, like on the next page, when after Connie kind of comes in and blurts his stuff, Connie and all that. He said none of you have the obligation to do this with us. Like, they realize that, or she's kind of like saying that we're the murderers, you're not, in a sense. And so we understand that you don't have that obligation to do that. And I think you can see that she does have remorse for what she has done, that she probably didn't have when, well, maybe she had a little bit. I mean, she's a complicated person, as they all are mostly.
Yeah.
But it probably wasn't as strong as it is now when she first got captured as the female Titan.
Right.
So there, she's definitely had some growth and time, a lot of time to think.
Oh, for sure.
Forgiveness, or what's right, what's wrong, and etc. etc.
Yeah.
So I definitely see what you're saying. I don't know if anybody's gonna come out and say you're forgiven or anything like that. I don't even know if she's gonna ask for forgiveness. or who she's gonna ask.
I don't think she's gonna directly ask for it either. And
maybe Armin. I don't know. I don't know why.
I don't know.
If it were to happen, it would be between those two. But I don't get that from these 2 pages, though.
I don't think I see Annie as the type of character who would like be that upfront about that. About like, can you forgive? Like asking someone if they would forgive her or something. Like no. Yeah, sure, she kind of did it previous chapter, but it was very like subtle. Like just kind of. Like, we didn't need... Maybe no one even responded to it. Like, we don't know for sure, like, exactly, because it kind of cut away from that in a very comedic way. But, like, that was legit the funniest bit of the previous chapter, in my opinion.
So it was so good.
But anyway, this, like, Annie's little monologue here leads very nicely into Reiner getting a flashback to the Marley arc when his scene with Eren in the basement.
I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this, to be honest.
Well, I guess a lot of fans have kind of, seen a lot of similarities between Reiner and Eren before this chapter came out. But it's obviously a different thing for the characters because they haven't read the manga, They don't have all perspectives like we do.
Totally.
So for Reiner to understand, to realize here what Eren meant when Eren said that they are the same, that he and Reiner are the same, because they both are willing to fight on. They're both the type of person to keep going and to keep fighting, because I think he was reminded of this specifically when Annie was talking about like that the 104th group don't have to do this, because I think that made Reiner think about the moment before they breached the walls, after Marcel had gotten eaten, and Annie and Bertold wanted to abort the mission and go back to Marley right away, but it was Reiner who pushed on and he convinced them to keep going anyway. So that trait, that character trait of like exists very strongly both in Reiner and Eren, and it's nice to see to see Reiner finally understand that. Was nice. And to see Reiner kind of view it as a positive thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes along very nicely with his desire to become a hero. Like, that's always, like, ever since he was a child, he's, like, wanted to be a hero. And I think he feels good about it in a way. Like, obviously, there's a lot of things in the situation that are dire, but I think it's something positive in all of this for him to realize this.
Yeah. So I think I've always kind of been confused with people saying that Reiner and Eren were the same. Just because those chapters with Eren and Reiner and Marley just kind of went over my head, at least when they were talking, and then we got like the big action. I was like, ooh. No, I like Marley arc a lot, but for some reason, like a lot of the Reiner stuff, didn't click with me. Not because I didn't like it or anything. I just didn't quite understand it.
I see.
And so that's why it shocked me when I see so many Reiner fans. Not that they can't be there or anything. It's totally fine. It's just. I was just like, why is everyone like worship him like a god? I don't understand it. What am I missing here? I mean, I like Reiner just fine, but I'm not worshiping the depression guy, armor plot guy. No. But for real, I am still struggling. But maybe one aspect that makes them the same is that both Eren and Reiner at a young age were both realized at a different time, but were taken. Their childhood was basically taken away from them. And they were made slave to their fate, if you will. Like, Reiner was made slave to the Marleyans, Eren was made slave to the Attack Titan, or to the Titan bloodline, or whatever. And basically the entire Eldian race, because he has to basically save them and whatnot, or whatever he's trying to do. And maybe that, in one way, that's how they're similar.
That's another way for sure, absolutely.
And perhaps there's some sort of freedom in there as well, like they both want freedom, but I'm not entirely sure on that one either. But It's good to hear your thoughts on it since you do know a lot more about Reiner or understand a lot more about Reiner than I do. So it was good to hear your perspective.
Nice.
On that, because to be honest, I was a little confused, like because Annie goes from like saying that you guys wouldn't have destroyed the wall, like, unlike us, and then he apparently has an epiphany moment with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still a little unclear to me. But
yeah, no, but it's because
But I understand like the hero aspect.
Right. Yeah, but it's because Annie mentions like destroying the wall. I think that reminded Reiner about the fact that it was ultimately it was his actions that led them to destroy the wall, because if he hadn't intervened, they would have aborted the mission right there, because everyone else on the team wanted to go back to Marley.
That's true. It was because of him, yeah.
So it was because of his drive force
right.
that happened, and that's why he thought of it, which reminded him of his talk with Eren, because Eren obviously also has
the same drive force.
Precisely.
Okay. Got it.
I think that's the main thing I think to take away from that.
That makes a lot more clear for me. And I appreciate I might have to do like a reread of Marley arc on, or maybe I'll just wait for the anime. I don't know. But I mean, it feels like the manga is going to end, at least what it feels like, it's going to end before maybe even the anime gets to that part in the Marley arc. So I might just have to read it again, because I want to make sure I have everything, I'm understanding everything.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same. I'm probably going to reread from the Marley arc onward,
because those were chapters that I binged and I didn't get I wasn't like reading deeply. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here. Because while I was catching up,
right,
catch up to you guys at the very beginning.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. I mean, rereading the Marley arc is always a treat.
Always a plus,
dude. Totally, I love that. And it's just 4 volumes. Like the Uprising arc, the Return to Shiganshina arc, which are the 2 arcs before Marley, are 5 each. Each of those are 5 volumes long.
Okay.
But Marley arc is only 4 volumes.
Got it.
This one is currently like 6 volumes, or it will be when this one's over, the one that we're on. But anyway.
Sorry. Continue.
I do appreciate this, like, self-reflection. I mean, Reiner has been, at least from my point of view, has been a character based on what he's thinking, what his mental state is. And I appreciated this, like, moment of self-reflection that he has, and hopefully this will be a turning point for his character to get even more, or like even better, or he's trying to be more comfortable in his own skin, no pun intended. That type of thing. So yeah, that's really in short form what I have to say about this couple pages.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
I just had an epiphany.
Oh, what was that?
I just had my own epiphany. I had my Reiner epiphany.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
So,
do tell.
And maybe you've already said this, but this even just helps me better understand even more.
Okay.
And I don't know why we're going on this, but I'm doing it anyway.
Do it,
so,
yeah.
All right, do it.
Obviously, so you said Reiner was the one who made the decision. I remember that. Like, he made the decision to break down the wall. Like,
yeah.
We got a mission, we got to do it, despite everyone else saying they didn't want to. Well, then, here's Eren in Marley basically doing that same thing, killing all these people to get the what's the Titan he got?
Warhammer Titan.
The Warhammer Titan, killing all these people, and then all the Eldians going on with his plan. Mikasa and all them going along with his plan, but they didn't really want to kill people.
Right.
I don't think they at all wanted to do this, but Eren believed that this is, well, he had his own reasons, I guess. He believed this is the only way. Probably saw the future. Already knew that this had to happen. But in that sense, like I think maybe Eren at that time was saying he knew what needed to happen, or he knew what needed to be done. Like he was going to take the blame and the responsibility for it all. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it makes more sense in my head, but
no. This is
like they're both willing to look over the deaths of people as long as it accomplishes their mission.
Precisely.
And I think he realizes that there, and then realizes that the other guys, Armin, Mikasa, and them, they're not the same as Eren, who will kill other people to get their way. That's why he says you guys can stay here.
Right. Precisely.
So that's my thought.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, precisely. And I guess he couples Annie in with himself because they've always been on the same side, but
yeah, it's true.
They already dirtied their hands or bloodied their hands or whatever the term is.
I think both work.
I see.
Anyway, sorry. Keep
but yeah,
going.
like so then I guess in their eyes, the 104th haven't done that yet. Although I kind of argue they have because they did.
Yeah,
attack
I mean
Liberio.
it's an interesting line. Yeah, it's an interesting line.
Technically, Marley had already declared war on Parody at the time. So even though they attacked first, they weren't the one who declared war. And they had technically already been attacked like 4 years prior, or not 9 years prior. Anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up again.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Well, so here comes Hanji's speculation about how far Eren and the Wall Titans might have made it, like how far they would have come or could have come. And hearing her like thoughts on that, it's kind of terrifying if it's true. Like if Eren and the Wall Titans have already like trampled like massive parts of Marley.
Yeah, that was a shock.
Like for them to have moved that fast, yeah, definitely a shock.
I can't. And then here I am going to be the only one saying I can't really say that I'm too surprised, given how much time
that they're already there.
Given how much time has passed from the other characters' points of view that we've been following for the past, what is it now, volume and a half ish.
Well, I'm guessing maybe there's been like at most 5 days.
Yeah, so I can't say I'm still a little surprised, but I'm not like, wow, really?
Shocked.
You know?
Gotcha.
That's fair.
Because, I don't know, I mean, do we know how many Wall Titans there are?
No.
Colossal
I mean,
Titans?
we could estimate, like, if we know, like,
the measurement, the wall has measurements, right?
Yeah.
And the Colossal Titans have a measurement. So if you want to do the mathematics, you probably can figure it out.
Precisely.
Okay, but
I don't want to.
The reason why I say that is, like, power and numbers, I guess.
I don't know how that increases their speed, though.
Well, it doesn't increase their speed, but it increases their ability to, take over large masses of land.
Well, it's not so much that the land that they've already trampled part of Marley. That's not the issue. It's like how fast they got there. For me, that's what's surprising.
Okay.
And I mean, we haven't this steam. I don't remember the steam being there like in the previous chapters when it all first started happening. I don't remember there being that much steam.
In this area here.
Not in this area, but in previous chapters when they first break the walls and they start marching. I don't remember there being that much steam. So potentially, this steam is either coming off the water or coming off the Titans, but they're just moving at an incredibly fast pace that if it's coming off the Titans, they're hurting themselves and thus, like, regenerate? I don't know. Like,
Well,
maybe you understand. Where does the steam coming from?
Well, I'm thinking... Well, so we know that the Colossal Titan...
Can release steam,
It always releases some steam. Even when it's not doing the specific release steam thing, it's always releasing at least a bit of steam. Because of how big it is, it kind of has to. It can't not release some steam. And like they make a point out of that, like the more steam it releases, like for the longer Bertold was in that form in the Return to Shiganshina arc, the thinner he became. And like little things like that.
So then is Marley a lot closer to Paradis than I'm thinking?
I mean,
like, can you see Paradis from? Can you see the other side of the shore?
I don't think so.
I don't. It's never been explicitly told. No.
I think it's safe to assume the distance is the same as between Africa and Madagascar, because it's based on those islands. Or
unfortunately, I haven't been to Madagascar, so I don't know if you can see Africa.
Right. No, but I'm just looking at the map, and like that distance looks like you shouldn't be able to see across.
Shouldn't be able to see. Okay.
Is my guess anyway.
All right. So then the steam that you're seeing, are these the Titans that are still in the water or on the bridge or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know
their mode of transportation are.
I'm not quite sure.
I mean, again, you said earlier that they could be swimming, so
they could be. It's the water that is actually steaming.
I do think we're looking into this just a little bit too much, but
I mean, who knows? Michael Phelps could have been a wall titan. But, okay. Stop.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who really knows?
I mean, Petter, did you have any theories about this since you...
Well, actually, now that we've talked about it more, I've become more and more unsure.
Yeah.
Because it does look like at this shot right here, like the same page where we see Piek, Annie, and Reiner like looking all surprised and shocked at what Hanji is saying about that most like big portions of Marley may have already been destroyed. On that page, the topmost panel, when we see like the ocean and the steam, it definitely looks like the steam is coming from the water's surface.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I don't know. It looks like that.
No, I agree.
So maybe they're walking across the ocean floor.
I don't know.
Maybe, but I guess we'll see in future chapters.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's no point in thinking too hard about it, but other than the fact that Marley is not in great shape right now.
Yeah. I wonder if we will ever see its, I guess, remains, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I think it. Well, yeah, we will. But I think like how much is remained, or if all of Marnie will be demolished. I think it depends on one, how long it takes to get the plane, and two, where Eren is actually going, which leads to the next point.
Which is?
I was trying to like transition to give it to you, Peter.
We are not in sync today.
It's my bad.
So I guess the next thing that I wanted to touch on is Magath attacking Yelena here and kind of breaking her arm a little bit.
Well, so the reason why that happens is because he's convinced that Yelena knows where Eren is trying to go, and that's what I was trying to transition to. And I thought that worked perfectly, but I guess not.
I'm sorry.
Magath has had He's had a very interesting last couple of chapters.
Definitely.
I agree.
This one especially, I think, where he has some, time to himself, time to just say what's on his mind.
Yeah. Something that I'm still thinking about, we had a pretty long discussion about it in the previous month's chapter, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but when he says that he's not going to kill her, Yelena says that she's relieved because in the last chapter she kind of wanted to die, but now she's changed her mind, and she says that take me with you and I just might tell you where Eren went. Now, last chapter we had a pretty long discussion about whether or not she actually knows where Eren is going. This kind of implies that she does know, but I'm still not sure if she's, like, she could be lying about it, like, technically.
You think she's bluffing still?
She could be bluffing just to stay alive.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently she does want to live.
She thinks that to stay alive she needs to act as, she needs to have value to this group.
Right. And if she has some information that they don't, then they'll need her.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a smart way to look about it. But at the same time, you can't discount the fact that she might know. And I think we even talked about this last time, that she could have figured out where Eren was going and then just laughed it off because, like, that'll never happen. Zeke's the man.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, I think it's wise to interpret it as she's just lying to cover herself, make sure they don't get rid of her. But at the same time, maybe she's still debating on whether she wants to tell them where Eren is going. Are these people worth my time? Is this going to be useful for me? Do I want to see what Eren's actually going to do? So I don't know. I don't know which way I fall on it.
Yeah.
I think part of me wants Yelena to know where Eren is. Like, there's like a part of me that like wants to see that interaction. then part of me just is like, no, don't be silly. Like, how could she know?
Yeah.
But I think right now you know what? I'll go on a limb. I'll just say that she does know, and for some reason she doesn't want to say yet, but she's kind of keeping it to herself. But
yeah,
the realistic part is that she doesn't know. She's just lying to cover herself.
Well, so the last thing she says is, and I just might tell you where Eren is, and she says that before Hanji and Don Yankopon interrupt and like take Magath off of her. So I feel like maybe if Magath had kept on pressuring her, she may have potentially said it like not too much later after this. Maybe.
I mean, and to be fair, like that information is not important to their current situation.
Exactly.
Like if they don't get that boat, that ship, it doesn't matter. The plane. Gosh dang it.
Yeah. Well, the plane? yeah. Let's just call it the plane.
I know. I'm trying. I just keep forgetting. Anyway. Yeah. If they don't get that, then none of this matters. So I could see them, or I can see just Isayama just trying to like allude to it, and not spilling the beans quite yet.
Precisely. Yeah, it's very, very good. And I like when Hanji and Onyankopon kind of get him to snap out of it here. We see he kind of realizes, I think, what happens, because there's 3 panels here where there's like no dialogue after here, and where the way I interpret it is that Magath kind of, he realizes that what he just did was uncalled for, and
oh really?
Well, I think partially. Well, so it's like he realizes that, well, he was just asked to back down by an Eldian, like an Eldian who was keeping a level head much better than he just did, and I think that partially anyway kind of helps him see that, like,
I could see that
it's not just Eldians that are devils, like anyone can be a devil, like he just kind of was one just now.
Well, I mean, those lines have been like blurred for a while now, I think.
Yeah, but not for most Marlians.
That's true, sure.
And like, it's coupled with the fact that he glances up at Gabby, and like just his expressions here, I think, speak a lot. Like, and at least that's the way I interpret it, is that this is kind of his breaking point where he's like, we're all the same. However, I think what's interesting about Magath is, like, sure, yeah, he's a full Marlian, you know, and he's the only, he's definitely like the most relevant Marlian in the story. But what makes him different from most other Marlians is that he's actually spent many years of his life working pretty closely, or very closely, with Eldians, because he's been the commander of the warrior unit in Marley's military for so long, and he trained the warriors and the Eldian children and all that. So I think compared to most other Marlians, it's easier for him to see the truth, you know, like to see how that Eldians are just normal humans like everybody else, because he's already spent a lot of time, like years, training Eldians. So I think it's been a long process for him. I think it may have even started like a couple of years ago that he has had these thoughts, that the thoughts that he's expressing here may have been like things that he's been holding in for a long time. Maybe he's been repressing them because they felt it, like, because he as a kid was taught it's wrong to think well of Eldians, you know. So I think that's been a struggle for him for a long time, and now he's finally letting it out, and I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I really like this too. To be honest, I mean, I've never like disliked him, but I've never had like a great interest in him. But seeing this moment and last chapter, seeing that as well, have made him much more interesting to follow.
Yeah.
I'd followed him on Twitter. I'm sorry, bad joke. So I and the reason why I asked like why you thought that Petter, like why you thought he felt remorse there, because I thought you meant like the actual like attacking of Yelena. And maybe there is, and hearing your explanation of it, like, I was like, oh, yeah, I could see that. But I think there is, like, he feels bad for what he did last night. I mean, he even says he asked for forgiveness of the previous night. And I think that kind of, like, turning point was the previous chapter when Gabby, kind of protected Reiner and asked for forgiveness and etc. He saw that and he felt bad that because he felt like he made her the way she is, the way she was, and feels bad for that. And I think just seeing Gabby right there again, it just kind of triggered that thought in him. But I think attacking Yelena like he did and asking where Eren is going, it was a part of him trying to make amends for what he did the previous night. And maybe I'm totally off of that, but I feel like him acting that way was him trying to, seek forgiveness without actually asking for forgiveness. But then he looks at Gabby and realizes, maybe violence isn't the way potentially, and so he goes out and asks for forgiveness. Now I could be misreading that whole thing, and I liked a lot what you said, so we'll just go with what you said. But hey, I think that's an interpretation, I guess.
yeah, but definitely. I think that's a perfectly solid other way of interpreting that. And yeah, because Magath is interesting because he hasn't had, like, ultimately, he hasn't had that much panel time compared to many of the other characters.
Right.
So that's
mainly these last 2 chapters.
Yeah, for the most part. He had, like, a bit in the Marley arc where he had some pretty important conversations. I think at least one with Wooly Tiber. But anyway, he hasn't had too much time, which leaves a lot of his character up for, like, interpretation, which I think is really fun. I think it's interesting to hear, like, different takes on his character, and I feel like he is one of those characters that people can have different thoughts about just because of, well, he hasn't had that much time, as I said.
Yeah, fair.
It's a beautiful message too, like the word, like the things that he's saying here, and it's great stuff.
But I love how it's, like, capped off by Armin's, like, "Daga kotowaru." It's like I refuse. He pulls a JoJo. Yeah. JoJo never said that, but anyway, JoJo memes. Anyway, he says, like, the sin should be placed on you. It should be our responsibility. But Armin's like, I refuse. Okay, he didn't say it like that at all.
Well, what if he actually does when the anime comes around? That's exactly how he delivers that line.
And then I will be very confused.
Oh, yes. But yeah. That was, well, at first it was unexpected. Like, when you just saw, like, the first thing that Armin says there, I refuse. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, wait, you're refusing his apology? What are you talking about?
Right, yeah, but then it makes more sense.
But then
yeah.
When you turn the page.
Yeah, and actually I love what Armin is saying here. Like, I refuse, we're getting our hands dirty too. It feels so much like something Eren would have said if he was here right now. Like, if he wasn't doing his thing, whatever he's doing, if it is what it seems like it is, or if it's something that it doesn't seem like it is, whatever it is, if he was here and he was working with these characters in this moment, that's definitely something he would have said.
Yeah, I think so. I also, part of me also thinks it just reminds me of, like, the older Armin when he has a plan, and I think he at least has another plan. I think this after, from this moment to the end, I think this is all Armin's plan that he came up with. That they're executing. Granted, I think they worked together on it, but I think Armin was the lead on that. At least the negotiate or trying to do it peacefully. But obviously that falls apart, and so they have to go to Plan B. And maybe that part wasn't his plan. But
I mean,
that's my thinking.
That. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Especially since he's the one that says we're getting our hands dirty too.
Right.
It wasn't Jean. It wasn't Connie. And definitely would never have been Mikasa.
No. So yeah, first scene is over. First scene of the chapter. So we're moving on to the next bit. We get to see Flock and Kiyomi.
It's interesting that the Flock basically says they don't need their technology. But I mean, would it be nice to have the technology?
Right.
I mean, But I guess like he's feeling pretty high and mighty at this point. So
yeah.
I guess one more thing I'll say is that Kiyomi basically says, "You think this is going to save your island? Like you're doing what you're doing. It's not. Like the war will continue. The hatred will continue to go forward. Eventually, I guess." And Flock says he's felt the same way. And so he basically turns to tyrant. How do you say this? Not a tyrant, but what's the tyrannicism? Whatever. Basically, just like ruling with an iron fist, and
right.
You know, so basically, what I'm saying is like he's gonna force everyone to play nice, or to not rebel or whatever. At least that's what I got from it, and that's why they want to. That's why they like destroy the technology, because if you destroy the technology now, then there won't be any fear for their island, or fear of attack or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that makes good sense. And it also like to strip everyone except for the people in power of technology and weapons and things like that in order to stay in power. Yeah. So Kiyomi says, these killings will surely continue as they always have. I feel like that's a pretty I'm pretty sure that that's a callback to two previous scenes in the Attack on Titan story. Just like a vague one. I mean, it's not like on the nose or anything, but it reminded me of two things. Firstly being in the Trost arc, there's a scene on top of the wall when Eren is talking to Commander Pixis, and Pixis tells Eren a story about, I can't remember exactly, but he asks Eren a question about like if one country defeated another country in a war, and then there was just the other country left, would there be peace in this country? And Eren says no, because there's always going to be conflict, like, or something along those lines. I know I wasn't perfectly accurate on that, but it's like something along those lines. So
basically, Eren's the one who says there'll always be conflict.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think he's right about that though, and another thing. Later,
I mean he's right.
Right. But
totally.
Later in the story, I think it's the Uprising arc, Aaron Smith says that there's always going to be, like, people are always going to be killing each other until there is one or less left in the world. Like, there's and that's also on the same idea that there's always going to be conflicts and wars.
So basically what you're trying to say is Eren's real plan is to kill everybody but himself, right?
Oh my god.
Uh-oh. That's terrible. How dare you even think that? No, I'm kidding. I know you're not thinking that.
Yeah. No, but I think like it's just a nice callback to those two previous bits in the story, and maybe it's going to be relevant even more. Who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, then we get to see Armin and Connie riding in with their bluff strategy.
Yeah, what a very loud strategy it was.
Yeah.
Like, this whole scene with Armin and Connie just feels like it's just comedic to me. Like, it's kind of awkward, and
yeah,
because like Flock is like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "Oh, there's no time for that. We can't. No, they slam away." And obviously, they're being incredibly good actors. I mean, Armin's crying. I mean, A+. Like, holy, give that man an Oscar.
Yeah, definitely.
But the part with I can't remember the two guys' names. Oh, Samuel and Daz.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to like fast forward so fast, but I'm just like pointing to my comedic points. Is but you guys were suspicious, and so we want to make sure you're not working with Marley. And there's like a pause. It's like, what? Are you kidding? Why would we ever work with them?
Exactly.
And so, and like Daz's, or Daz, however you say his name, his face is just so like vacant. He's like, oh. It reminds me of like One Punch Man, like his face when that gif. He's like, okay.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, he has kind of a small face, at least in some of the drawings. What did you guys think about Isayama bringing back Daz and Samuel? Maybe you don't even remember them.
I don't really remember them. I'm sorry.
I'm reading the rest of this chapter, right? And I'm like, really? Uh-huh. Because I don't remember these characters.
And that's fair. That's fair.
And this was like the crux of like what the title of the chapter is and everything like that. Like I didn't. When was the last time that we saw these characters?
So let me tell you.
Yeah.
I know roughly. So okay. Well, I'll admit I didn't recognize Samuel like immediately. Daz is the character that I did know of. Like he's one that I've thought of him from time to time. Not in a weird way.
Sorry, that just sounded funny.
The way you worded that,
I know
it sounded was great. Anyway,
honestly,
continue.
his face looks like it belongs as a Titan, but unfortunately, that'll never happen.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, like Daz was, I mean, I think it's made clear from the dialogue here that they were both in the same training corps as like our main cast. So they were around in the early, like in the training arc and in the Trost arc. And Daz was always like the guy who was like scared shitless by everything.
Was that the last time we saw them?
Honestly, I don't think we've seen them since the Trost arc.
Then what?
Yeah.
Then why are they here?
Well, here's the thing. Well, I think
this is in game.
Yeah, we gotta bring back all the players. But so Daz, or Daz or whatever, he
maybe it's Daz. I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, he was also actually he was in a flashback during the God damn it, forgetting the names of the arcs now.
Do you know what season of the anime?
It's season 2. It's the Clash of the Titans arc.
Clash, yeah, it's Clash.
So there's a flashback with Historia and Ymir, where they're walking through the snow. Like it's like back during the training days, and they got an exercise to walk, like to trek.
I think I remember
a distance through the snow.
Yeah.
And Ymir, Historia, and Daz, I think it was Daz anyway. Were in one group. But Daz had like he had gone unconscious, like he had like fainted or something. So Historia is pulling him like on like in a rope, like through the snow, and like he's like, I guess Ymir is kind of like telling her to leave him, because otherwise they'll both die, and if she left him there, then only he would die, and like it's a pretty interesting scene. But anyway,
I just find it really like a really odd choice. To have the last... I have the manga open right now. Okay, so to have the last, like, let's say 40 to 50%, have a good portion of it be focused on these two characters that we have not seen in a very long time.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
This is all for Coney, I think. If you look at the scene where it's after Armin gets shot in the face, which how in the heck he survives that? But there's a point where Coney has a flashback to when they're up on one of the walls and Sasha breaks out one of the meats that she picked off one of the higher peoples, and you see Samuel there.
Yep.
And next to Samuel, I was like, who the heck is that? I think that may be Daz. I think Daz just looks different when he was younger.
Right. No, actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually brought out that volume from my bookshelf to refresh my mind on that scene. It is Samuel there. He was in that scene. You know, like the scene where they're like, well, Sasha stole some meat, and like they're like, ooh, and this is like right before the Colossal Titan appears the second time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It is Samuel is one of the people there.
I think Daz is right next to him, and I think
no, it's not. The other one isn't Daz. The other one is a guy called Thomas.
Oh, that's Thomas? Oh, okay.
Who died in the Trost arc.
Got it.
Okay.
I mean, they do look different, and so that's why I was confused. But maybe they brought them together. But at least it's just Samuel. So I don't know about why Daz is there. Maybe just to cut up loose ends. But at the very least, I think this is for Connie because Samuel's there, and he, and it brings up that very I use the term loosely, iconic moment for Sasha. when she sold that meat, and maybe that was like brings up a good memory for Connie, of that time when they promised that they would be friends and whatnot. But anyway, I think that was just like good connections to that moment when they were younger.
Absolutely, and so I think it makes sense to bring these two characters back, even though they are very minor characters. At least, like, I remember Daz very well, and seeing that little panel that you mentioned, James, that Samuel was in, that helped me refresh my mind on. Oh, right, that was Samuel. He was actually the guy who. So they were on top of the wall with the meat, and they were all like goofy and funny, and then the Colossal Titan appears out of nowhere, like, hello there, and and then it's Samuel that falls off the wall, and Sasha saves him by shooting her ODM gear thing into his foot. If you recall, that's him. That's Samuel.
Okay.
I hope his foot is doing well these days.
Well, I don't think it matters anymore, my friend.
No.
So anyway, sorry to bring that up, but I do think, like, Peter was saying, like, there is a reasoning behind it, even though they are incredibly minor.
Right.
But that's why they really random.
That's why they threw that panel in there, is to show you that connection that Connie had with them, or at least Samuel. I don't know about Taz.
Well, I think it's like, because it, even though as we've said,
it kind of just represents their whole group. I mean, I get that.
Right, and I think it's also like I'm gonna take a bit like way in advance now. It doesn't matter that we're not, like, we don't have to necessarily discuss the chapter chronologically.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're on this discussion now, so I may as well mention it.
Fair.
Okay.
Something I was planning on talking about is at the very end, like in the end of the chapter, when we got these four characters here on the pier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like it's the very last stretch here, and there's one panel of Bertolt from the Clash of the Titans arc.
Which page?
Second to last.
Oh yeah.
There's one panel of Bertolt from the Clash of the Titans arc when he is being held by Armor Titan Reiner. They got, like, he's got Aaron strapped to his back.
Right, he's got Aaron on his back.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't understand that. Okay.
I think this is a very important thing in this chapter, at least for me. So you know the what part this is? Like, the Armor Titan is running with Bertolt and Aaron in his hands.
And Mikasa, is this where Mikasa looks through the hole?
Mikasa and Connie and Jean and, like, they're all, and Armin, they're all, like, outside of Reiner's hands, and they're talking to Bertolt.
They're talking to. Okay, I wasn't sure if he was, like, crying because he saw Mikasa's fierce eyes. Like, oh.
Oh yeah, no, she does have some fierce eyes in that scene.
I just remember that scene vividly from the anime, but
yeah.
But this is just him breaking down after they're all talking to him, right?
Yeah, and he has a pretty powerful monologue in this scene.
Okay.
Basically, it's a cry for help. His like what he says in this scene when he's like, when he is right there when the thing that this panel is from, he says, like, somebody please find us, and, like, I don't know, like, well, so for Bertolt, I feel like it's been tough because, well, Annie is not someone that one gets close to that easily. I mean, he has a thing for her, but I don't think they did a lot of interaction and stuff. I think she was kind of distant for most of their time, like, in the training corps. And Reiner was suffering from, like, dissociative identity disorder or something along those lines. And I think it's safe to assume that Bertolt tried to help Reiner out with that a lot, and that's like a massive burden for someone. Like, Bertolt wasn't like a psychiatrist or anything by any means, so having to deal with someone who should have needed help like that and trying to deal with it by yourself. I mean, I'm not going to get, like, too deep on this now, but I kind of know very well what that is like, dealing with someone who has, like, severe mental disorders.
Okay.
And, like, that's very close in your life. And like, you don't know what to do because you can't know. And I think that's been a burden for Bertolt for a very long time. Actually, I don't know why I've never talked about this before, but that's something very interesting about Bertolt, I think. He's often overlooked, but anyway. So he has been struggling with that, and but excuse me, like the main point of having this panel right here at the end of the chapter is because, if I recall, one of the things that he says when he's there in that scene back in the Clash arc is that, or at least he implies something along the lines that they didn't want to betray the other guys. Like they, I mean, he's very much like the unwilling traitor, exactly like Connie and Armin are in this scene.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think it's thanks to the resemblance of like that scene and this one, but obviously like the roles are reversed and all, like or switched up a lot. But it's thanks to the resemblance of that it doesn't really matter that we don't know Samuel and Daz that well. I think it's okay that we don't know those characters that well because we've already been, like previously in the story, we've already gone through a very similar situation. But last time it was Armin and Connie who were the ones who felt betrayed and that were betrayed. And we knew how they felt at the time because they're bigger characters. Now we're seeing Daz and Samuel get betrayed in a very similar way. Honestly, it is.
I agree. Totally.
So I think it doesn't matter that we don't know their characters that well. I think we can easily assume that the things that they are feeling in this moment, and especially thanks to having the callback to Bertolt there, I think it's safe to assume that they feel similar in the same way that Armin and Connie and Jean and Mikasa felt back when they were betrayed by Reiner and Bertolt.
Yeah. So when I saw this as Bertolt, I thought that it was gonna have some sort of implication with the, what's his Titans called again?
Colossal Titan.
Colossal Titan. I can't remember why that got into my head.
Fine.
Yeah, so I thought like that was a Colossal Titan, and that was implying that Armin was thinking like that was the only thing he could do at that time was become the Colossal Titan, and then Coney does his "I'm awesome" moment. But you bring an incredibly good point, and it's much deeper than that. And I think you're right. Like Samuel and Daz are going through what Armin and all them went through during that time in season 2. But on the flip side, the same is true that now Armin and Coney understand what Bertolt was going through during that time. Like they understand how he feels because they're the ones being the traitors now. And so thank you for bringing that up because I didn't know that moment was him regretting or him like having those feelings about being a traitor and whatnot. So yeah, I think very much so that they are now sympathizing with Bertolt in that moment. So
yeah, I would say like at first I was a little confused. I'm like, why is there a panel here, right? But yeah, now I understand why it was put there.
I'm glad you understood that. It's
thank you.
This is probably my favorite, my favorite scene or like bit of this chapter, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
Like these last few pages, like the last like 3 or so pages. I love that.
I just like that. I really like how Coney has something to do. Like he's not like, just in the background, like helping people or something like that. Because I feel like because obviously the focus is usually on, at least in their squad, Mikasa, Armin, and Eren, and I love those guys. But it is good to see Coney kind of take I mean, it's not a role per se, but he plays a key part in making sure this plan keeps going and saving Armin. And all that, and I don't know, like I don't think we saw that a whole lot in the previous arcs,
right?
And obviously, since it's in game, and we've kind of had that growth for Coney already, we're getting more of these moments for these characters of growth and becoming awesome. I mean, granted, like killing people is devastating, and never shoot people in the face, or ever.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, like it was a clutch moment, and it was a hard decision to make. And like you said, like it was the same thing with Bertolt. I mean, granted, I don't know if I sympathize with Bertolt's, or I don't agree with why they had to do it. I agree with more with what Armin and Konya doing it, but that's protagonist, antagonist. Anyway, I do just like this, or I like the comparison and the execution of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess getting back to where we left off ish, before we jumped ahead a little bit in the chapter, we got badass Kiyomi for the win.
Yeah. I studied jujitsu, you fool.
Yeah. I was very happy to see her take some literal action.
I just like seeing Flock on the ground.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you do.
When Mikasa breaks through the window, at first I was like, what the freak? Is that Levi?
Yeah, I was thinking
just
that
because
I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. No.
They're both Ackerman, and when they get their serious face on, they especially with their haircut the way it is, it can be hard to tell sometimes, but no, it's Mikasa.
When I was reading this, I'm like, this is like basically the last from here, basically onto the end of the chapter. I'm like, this is a little. I had to read it twice because I don't think the panels were drawn, or I guess. I don't want to say the camera, but I don't think
I see what you mean.
The panels were staged well enough for me to understand what was happening for a few of them.
Oh, I see.
Really? Huh.
Like for example, mistaking.
I mean, to be fair, sometimes action parts can be hard to follow.
It was mainly these panels that we're talking about right now, and then a couple towards the end. But yeah, I was like, that's Levi? No. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just my mistake. Like, I was like, what? Oh,
yeah. No, that's funny. Like, so I didn't mistake her for Levi here, but I did later on when they're like in the stairs, going down the stairs. Later when they're ambushed by the other or by the Jaegerists, and Mika says like leaping down from the stairs.
Yeah.
Like that one, I thought like for a moment, what the hell, did Levi show up? Like, I'll be,
man, he recovered really fast from when we last saw him in the chapter.
Right. But yeah. So I can definitely see why you would mistake her for Levi in the previous one.
Yeah. Forgive me, Mikasa. I am sorry. Hey, you guys, Levi and Mikasa are both beautiful people, so it's okay.
Absolutely, they're both hotties. But yeah, Mikasa doing what she does best.
Yeah.
Fighting people, or fighting in general, I guess. And Flock escapes, and the game is on.
Yeah. So, just to help me real quick. The reason why it failed was that it was because Kiyomi threw Flock to the ground? Is that why the plan failed? Or...
yeah, well, so I think because
obviously they're trying to do it peaceful, but then, like, things happen, like, they're found out. Like, so what...
Yeah, because, well, so when, like, so Flock is about to shoot one of Kiyomi's men, right?
Right, so she had to take action. Okay.
And she takes action, but right as because she like pulls his arm up, I think, or whatever. Like she moves his arm anyway, and he does fire twice.
Right.
So there's like 2 gunshots heard, and I guess that makes it so that Mikasa feels the need to barge in there because you don't know, like she can't know exactly what was going on.
What's going on in there? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it was unavoidable at that point.
I guess so, yeah.
Got it. Okay. It would have been lame if like their whole plan, like to try to be peaceful, was ruined just because Kiyomi decided, you know what, I'm gonna stop this. But right. Yeah, she had to protect her men, and that's understandable.
Yeah, and I mean, if she hadn't done anything, then I think it would have played out similarly anyway. I mean,
obviously Flock is here to blame because he was gonna shoot him. So
yeah, because if Kiyomi hadn't done anything, then Flock would have shot that guy, and then Mikasa would have come in the window anyway. So
yeah.
So
I guess the plan was doomed from the beginning.
I guess so. Yeah, even though no one could have known, but yeah.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
I mean, they had to make sure they saved those guys so they can take off the plane. So okay, that makes sense. I understand. Okay.
Yeah. I love seeing Mikasa working together with the Hizuru people here. Like she's like, she isn't like the odd one. Like I don't know. Like she always like stuck out before, like, or like not before, but like, you know, like with other Eldians, like she sticks out because she doesn't look like everybody else.
Right.
But it's really nice to see her like helping out her people, I guess. Here was a neat little.
Yeah, because I mean, last time you kind of felt. Well, last time they were together, like you felt there was a bit like they were trying to use Mikasa. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so just to see them kind of come together here and maybe, you know, no hard feelings. Maybe maybe no time for that. We gotta run so we don't die.
Yeah, and it feels really genuine too. I think, like the chemistry between Mikasa and Kiyomi here, I think feels good. And then we got Headshot Master. Like, triple headshot. Like, damn. Magath. At least I'm assuming that was Magath, because he's still holding the gun. I think it's nice to see Magath wearing a Cervicore jacket here.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
It just looks so good on him that I didn't.
Right. It looks so natural on the guy. I didn't notice it until my third read through.
Yeah.
So, back to the scene at the pier with the four guys. I've seen some people speculate about something online here. So, Samuel shoots Armin 3 times. 2 times in like the upper torso and 1 time in the jaw.
Yeah, cheek, jaw area.
Right. And I've heard some speculations, and I mean, maybe it's not intentional, but I think there's a decent possibility that it is, and I like to think that it is. The speculation is basically that Samuel, since he knows Armin, like they trained together for 3 years, so he knows who Armin is. He knows what Armin's strengths are. That he deliberately shot him in the jaw to make it so that he can't speak. Talking. Yeah, because he knows that Armin is a master of talking his way out of anything, pretty much.
Right.
And that this was an intentional thing.
Yeah, I thought Armin was gonna start trying to convince them.
Right.
And then it would just turn sour, but not even that. Like it stopped, and then boom, like Samuel's like, get thee hence, devils.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a shred of convenience. Maybe, but I can see that definitely. Yeah.
What?
I think.
What are you talking about?
I think it's a little bit convenient that he got shot in the mouth. Maybe. Possibly.
I mean, Samuel was on very close range. He could have easily made that shot.
Yeah. Anyway, again, I can see where people are coming from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see what you're saying, Steven. Like, you know, he wasn't aiming for it, but at the same time, like, he could have been. Like,
yeah.
I think that's just kind of like, there's no point in speculating, like, if it was intentional or not, really. I mean,
right. Yeah, like, there's no way of knowing for sure, but it's nice to at least... I think it's nice to imagine that it was intentional, because I think it makes sense for it to be intentional.
Yeah. I agree.
And then we got one of my favorite bits of this chapter here. We got the Reiner Annie Double Titan Transformation Combo Deluxe.
I know.
Fuck yeah!
Good.
That is a pretty cool moment, I won't lie.
I was so hyped. And like I was so happy too that I was able to spot Annie and Reiner like behind Flock in the panel before we see them like close up. Like that I just saw them. I was, wait a minute, is that Annie and Reiner? And then of course it was. I was like, fuck yeah, Titan time.
I just love how he's like, wait a minute, could this mean?
Yeah.
You're right.
Hell yeah.
Ambush.
That was great. Whew. And a little cutaway scene back to like the guys that aren't at the harbor fighting. Yelena makes a little jab at Levi, or at least that's the way I'm interpreting this. When she says, violence is one thing you can't take from humanity, right, Captain?
And then Levi goes,
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's like, I'm hoping that this means that Levi will be able to let go of his obsession to kill Zeke.
Maybe.
Is what I'm like. I want there to be. I mean, Isayama usually doesn't make a scene without a purpose. And so I'm feeling like,
totally.
What else would this scene here be? Like, it's just like 4 panels.
Right.
But still, I feel like it should have some significance, and that's what I'm thinking it might be. How about you guys?
I think one thing could just be that Yelena, because she loves Zeke so much, probably despises Levi, because maybe she understands, their hatred towards one another, and so potentially she's just taking a stab at a injured man, but who'd usually be very dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that does bring a good point. Like, what if this is the catalyst that makes him not want to kill Zeke? I'm not sure.
It might not be the only reason, but at least
I don't think it can be, because it's just so minor.
For sure.
But it could be like the start, or maybe that's not technically the start. I don't know, but it could be a building block.
Right. I mean, although, or like maybe it's not even that important to Levi personally, but it's more like there for the sake of the story, like for the reader to kind of get that idea in our heads.
Okay.
In some way,
Sure.
Maybe.
I think you guys are putting too much weight on these panels, but I mean, it's possible.
Dang it, Steven, play along.
Play along for once. Like, I think it's just there as like a.
Petter was the one who brought it up, not me. I mean, I'm just, he asked me my thoughts, so I gave him my thoughts.
So Levi, I know, or not Levi. So Steven, I know Levi is your favorite character. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Or at least I'm assuming he still is, unless you change your mind.
No.
So what do you think is on Levi's mind in this chapter?
Well, I mean, the problem that I'm just going to make a general statement about this entire stretch of chapters.
Uh-huh.
The problem here is that we don't get a whole lot, for obvious reasons, we don't get a whole lot from him. Mm-hmm. We don't know what he's thinking. He's basically spent this entire time, because he doesn't really have any choice but to observe. Like, all he's been doing is observing what's been going on around him. What do I think is going through his head right now? I think like what one of you guys said, I think he's slowly coming to terms with where he is right now. I don't think he'll be able to get because his drive right now is to get back at Zeke. I don't think I think he's slowly coming to terms with he's not going to be the person to do that. Because he can't right now. But again, we have no way of knowing, because he doesn't really have a way to talk right now. And Isayama doesn't really do... I mean, he does, obviously, because he did it with Reiner. He doesn't often do, like, thought messages. It's a lot of spoken dialogue, but he doesn't really write what's going through people's minds all that much.
He does it from time to time, but yeah.
It's very
definitely
sparse.
Right.
So those are my thoughts on that, basically.
Right. It's fair. But yeah, it is interesting. Like, ever since Levi got severely injured, I always had the thought in the back of my head that, he's gonna recover at least. I mean, not 100%, but he's gonna recover enough so that he will be able to join the fight.
I hope that he will at least be able to talk to Zeke.
He can talk.
I think he needs at least one more interaction with him.
I hope so too.
Before the manga ends.
Right.
So I think that it would be lame if Levi doesn't have one more final big scene. And I guess it could end up being just a talking scene since he's so broken right now, for lack of a better term, or injured, I guess.
Granted, we haven't really, it's not like there's been a way to, check to see how he's healed or anything like that. Like, we've just seen, bandages still with no...
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
So...
But what I'm trying to say is that I almost feel like if this is the extent of Levi, if he's just gonna be sitting there and not really doing much, and even just talking, I almost feel like Isayama should let him die. Just because that would have been and just put a little more grandness to it, but it would have been a better.
Let him die way back in the forest. You mean?
Yeah, let him die.
Yeah, I can see that. I can agree.
Give him a final moment and let that be his swan song, if you will.
Yeah.
That would have been more satisfying than if he's just sitting around. So, but what I'm trying to say is that there must be something important that Isayama has for Levi to do that will. I mean, I hope that will be very satisfying.
Because I hope he just doesn't drop him randomly. It's like, oh, I've changed my mind or something like that.
He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
I know.
I'm with James. I'm with James on this. That I also think that since Levi is still alive, there will be something.
There has to be something to.
There has to be
like a payoff. There will be.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt.
I'm just not entirely sure what that is. I don't even know if it's going to be with Zeke. It seems like it's building that way, but. And maybe they'll come together and work together. It could be really really weird, but maybe it could happen. But it just okay, I get it. But it's just that there has to be something, and I think Isayama will deliver on that sense. So one more thing I want to say about these 4 panels.
Yeah.
Is that going to your question, why would that be there? I think it's to establish who's in the fight and who's not.
Okay, yeah, I would say it's not overly important. It's just establishing who's where.
I think that's the main point, but at the same time, there's going to be there could be underlying themes and whatnot, and that's why Pedro brought up the whole thing anyway.
Right.
Just to get our thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I still think that the last 2 panels specifically, with Yelena and Levi, I think it does. I think it means something on some level about how Levi may potentially drop his obsession about killing Zeke. Is my thoughts on that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So yeah, getting to see Reiner and Annie's Titan forms in action.
So cool.
Beautiful.
I mean, when was the last time we saw the female Titan?
Yeah, right?
Oh gosh.
that was volume 8. Now we're on volume 32. Yeah, 32 now.
It's one of those I've only been reading the manga for a single year, and then you guys have been reading it for how many? Without seeing the female Titan on the page.
But still, a year. That's a long time.
Yeah. Just because I started reading right after the last anime season ended. So, yeah, I agree.
So I think this also confirms that Reiner still has his armor on. Because I think we had always, I think we just said that we were trying to think, did Eren take away the armor? What
I think he took away for lack of a better term off the top of my head, crystallization.
No, well, so
I don't know.
What Eren did was he undid all Titan hardening on Parody, or maybe in the entire world, but doesn't really matter. He undid all of the Titan hardening that existed at the time. And that was
at that time
the walls. Okay. It was Annie and the crystal, and it was Reiner since he was in Titan form. And that was my interpretation of it, actually. It was just for the moment, and that if Reiner would transform again, he would have his full type armor. And luckily that was the case, because it would have been sad to see a naked armored Titan. It would have been
Right,
pretty sad.
Although I think some people would have been really happy. I'm just joking.
Maybe. Yeah. After this, we get to like the final stretch here that we had some talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
We got like zombie Armin almost.
Zombie Armin.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he kind of looks like a zombie with that jaw.
While I was reading, it was like, oh man, I want him to transform, but he's gonna kill all those people. He's gonna kill all three of them if he transformed.
Why would he want to right now? Is my question.
Well, I mean, he transformed to help the others, but he can't because there's
right.
Connie is right there.
I had that thought actually when I read this the first time that like I guess it was around here when he's like going up to Daz with like all that and like I had the thought that what if he would transform because he like I mean he has a goal in mind and that's one of the things you need to transform and he is injured. So and I mean we know that Titan shifters, at least trained ones, can choose not to transform despite all of that. But like I just had this thought that what if Armin loses control and just transform here and now, killing Connie and both these guys, and I guess that would have destroyed the plane too. So like I guess that would have just been awful on so many levels.
Probably wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously.
But maybe I don't know. Like there's the panel where you see Bertolt crying. There's a panel where you get like kind of back and forth between Armin and Daz there. And then you see I think Armin's eye and then I think his mouth. Although I at first I took it as Connie's mouth, but I was like I don't know, that is that blood on the side of the mouth? I can't tell.
Like you mean the mouth in the bottom right corner of the page?
Yeah.
I think that's Connie.
That's Connie. Okay, because that's what I thought at first, but then I was like, oh wait, is that blood on the side? But no, I think you're right. I think it's Connie mouth. Okay. So then I think that because again when I read it again, I thought maybe it was Armin, and it was like maybe this is Armin, like he's about to transform into the Titan, but then Connie does something that stops it. But no, it is Connie's mouth. So yeah. I think that's good, and yeah, it's good that Connie did that because probably Armin's only. Well, I don't know if Armin would have done it, but what if he had transformed into the Colossal Titan? That would have been very bad for their situation. So it's a good thing that Connie did it.
Absolutely. But what Connie does here, like Connie taking action and shooting Daz is perfectly understandable. He saved Armin's life by doing it. But then he goes ahead and shoots Samuel in the head too, which I feel wasn't necessary, really.
Okay.
I disagree because I think Samuel would have shot both of them.
But Samuel was unarmed at this point because Connie had taken Samuel's gun.
Oh. Well, he would have. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I guess you could say.
And they had this entire talk beforehand about we shouldn't kill any of them, like. And now Connie just goes ahead and kills one of them completely, kind of, without reason.
Well, I think Mikasa's killed a few Jaegers a few pages back.
Yeah, but they were fighting like they were armed.
And Armin literally said that we're ready to get our hands dirty, or we're willing to get our hands dirty.
That's true.
So I mean Samuel was not. I mean Samuel has been brainwashed to the Jaegerists, and I think that. I mean, granted, I if I was in this situation, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I do think that Samuel would have been very hard to deal with, and probably had attacked back in some way, whether he tackles Connie or goes after Armin or something.
Well, yeah. But you know, the end of this chapter really helped me. I mean, I have been. Like even before this chapter, I have like understood the Jaegerists' point of view, but the end of this chapter helped me understand it better. Like and like to kind of to sympathize with the Jaegerists more than I have been before.
Really?
Okay.
I mean, I've always kind of sympathized with the Jaegerists anyway, but
right.
I understand that that's just not right. Like that's not. I mean, it kind of goes against our morals as a species that we mass genocide is not the way to do it. Like
it's thanks to the Bertolt reminder or like that panel there where it's like at the time that panel is from, what Reiner and Bertel were trying to do was basically the same thing that our heroes are trying to do now. Like they were trying to save the world, and what their version of saving the world would have been to, sure, it would have been to probably kill all the Eldians on Paradis, but it would have saved everyone else in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And at the time, obviously, we and the main characters didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So I guess the situation is definitely different, but I don't know. It's such a complicated situation, right?
Yeah,
because
totally.
the Eldians on Parody were oppressed by by Marley, for, well, first 100 years with Titans, and then, well, now all this that's happened since the Marley arc and this arc, and I feel like it makes very good sense for Jaegerists to have the belief that they have, just because they haven't had any freedom because of these people across the ocean, and it's only fair to strike back.
I totally agree, but I think that you bring up the point with the Marleyans and them wanting to wipe out all Paradis. I think it just shows that, you know, wiping out an entire people is not how you gain peace, because, you know, people are going to fight back. That's not how it's supposed to go, and that's why they're trying to stop Eren anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, why I sympathize with their reasoning, like, and I totally understand why they feel that way, and I'm not going to call them, you know, necessarily evil, terrible, or call Isayama evil for writing these characters. I don't understand why people are on such mighty hills where they think that they're just morally more correct than the writer. Anyway, but I think, but at the same time, I think that thinking is wrong and not right, and there is a better way. There is a chance to meet in the middle somehow. That doesn't involve killing, or at least mass genocide.
Right. Yeah.
And so sometimes sacrifices, I guess, or, you know, when you're in situations like they were in, like, I guess death will happen. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not advocating for killing other people, but, you know, the Jaegerists were definitely going to kill them anyway once they found out they were traitors. So I understand where they're coming from, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
If that made any sense. If it doesn't make any sense,
no,
just,
it does.
You know, pretend it didn't happen.
I think it does make sense, and I agree with that. I mean, obviously, I don't support genocide, obviously. So yeah, it's like, it makes sense, but I don't agree with it. Is also my take on that.
That's a good point.
But it's so well made, because I
feel like this conversation has been going on for long enough where you guys are just repeating yourselves. I don't know.
Well, I think we just agreed with each other just now. But yeah. I think the point Pedro made is that it's so well written that you can sympathize with these people who want to commit genocide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And so, yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that people who don't, I mean, you don't have to sympathize, but people who don't see that and feel like that's a terrible thing, and, you know, everyone should hold hands and et cetera, et cetera. I think you're missing the point of writing, and the point that people are more complex than just black and white.
I think this manga and anime has, and we've said this before on the show, where Isayama does a very good job of writing morally gray characters throughout the entire title.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's the complexity of this story that I love so much.
Right.
People can relate to and agree with people on all sides of the conflict in the story. And I just think it's really, really interesting, the kinds of debates and discussions that it brings out of the fandom.
That's true.
It's incredible. Like, I've never experienced any story that's quite on the same level as Attack on Titan.
Right.
Is.
I mean, you get a little bit here and there, but nothing like I've never seen or really read a manga that that people keep bringing up like events in history, like particularly not Nazi Germany and their whole thing against the Jewish people. I mean, you got a bit of that with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and and that's why that story is also very good, because there was a lot of moral conflict there.
True.
Like with Scar and his people, but
yeah.
But here I think it goes even further, because you're getting both sides who at one point wanted to wipe out an entire people. And so who are the good guys here?
Yeah.
And what is the right choice here?
Right, and especially with the parallels that this chapter had here, like comparing Armin and Connie to Bertel and Reiner, like.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I see what you're saying, Stephen. Like maybe we were repeating each other, but I think we were just trying to come to an understanding.
Right.
And
that's right.
So that's basically the chapter. Actually, one thing before we move on to predictions and whatnot, I'm assuming that in the Japanese prints of these chapters, there's always but because of that, they're always also in the early fan translations.
Okay.
There's always like a little one little sentence at the very last page. Mm-hmm. But for some reason they take those away in like the official translations. I mean, it doesn't matter too much. It's just like one sentence that's not.
Sometimes they're nice for speculation.
Sometimes they are, yeah, and sometimes like I wanted to bring up this one specifically because it was very I thought it was very nicely formulated, I guess. Now I can't remember exactly like word for word what it was because I don't have access to the fan translation anymore. But basically, what it said was. The dream they shared together turned into a nightmare, which I thought was and just, oh my god, yeah, that's true, and it's so tragic, so incredibly tragic. Like they wanted to eat meat together and retake Walmaria.
Oh my gosh.
But now they're shooting each other in the heads.
Right, and I think that puts even more. Yeah, why don't they keep that into the actual translation?
I actually pulled it up a while ago, and I still had it up as we were talking. It says, "The dream they had together ends as a nightmare."
Right.
There's the little end tag there.
It puts way more emphasis on that shot, headshot by Connie on Samuel.
I really wish they would keep those. Actually, keep those little end tags.
Right.
Yeah. They're pretty nice.
They add a little more depth to it. Yeah. So I think that. Kind of ties in all that symbolism and maybe even not justifies, but maybe gives a reason why Connie shot him in the head. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's incredibly tragic.
Right.
But it's very, very well made. Prediction time, James. Do you have any?
Well, I think the safest prediction is that we're going to continue this battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So. Going along with that, are we going to get any deaths from our heroes? I think we could get. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think we could get. I keep forgetting his name. Starts with the M. Magnus.
Magath.
Yeah.
Magath. I think because Magath had kind of a character building moment the last time, and he asked for forgiveness and whatnot. He might. That might be a death flag. And he could be one of the casualties, and it would be a sad loss, but it wouldn't be like devastating.
See, I think he's one of the most crucial players into bringing peace.
Okay. Oh, really?
Because he's
like
Marleyan.
The leader for Marley. Okay.
He's the only Marleyan in the alliance, and he is.
Well, Yelena is a Marleyan.
Okay, but she's not really with them.
What if she becomes with them after that?
Okay, fair.
Like, what if she becomes the only Marley? And she takes that title.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But
Magath I do see what you're saying.
Magath is also he became So when the story started off, he was the leader of the warrior unit of Marley's military. But during the Marley arc, he became the leader of Marley's entire military. So he has a very high up position in Marley, and I think he could be incredibly important and influential in bringing some kind of positive ending to this story, maybe.
Okay.
If that's what we'll get. Who knows?
Okay, that's fair. I guess I just wanted to say that perhaps that was a death flag, but I understand like
Maybe.
the negative implications that could potentially bring to the story. So I understand.
I mean, who knows though?
But I do think we'll get. We could get one death.
Could get a death.
I hope so, actually.
And I don't think. I mean, deaths are interesting. I don't think it's gonna be Hanj. I hope not. That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you say it. Don't you be thinking
we
it.
talked about it last month, and I'm still kind of like I'm still kind of like I think it could be interesting if she did bite the dust.
I don't think we've had like enough Hanj moments for her to die yet. But maybe that would just make it more shocking.
I mean, this chapter definitely didn't have much with her.
Yeah.
Like a little bit at the beginning, but I think the previous chapter had a very good moment with her.
So for my predictions, I'm not going to outright say someone's going to die. I will agree with James though.
Why not join the club?
Why not? I will agree with James that obviously the main bulk of this chapter is going to be, or this next chapter is going to be a continuation of this set of scenes here. I've been thinking this for a while, ever since we started talking and since I finished reading earlier today, that this next chapter is going to basically tell us how many more chapters we have, in the sense that I don't think, depending on how the next chapter goes, I think it'll be pretty safe to say if the manga will not end after this volume. I think this next chapter will give us a good idea of if it will or not, because that'll be chapter 3, right, in a volume.
Next one will be the third of a volume.
Yeah. So basically,
there's no way.
There's no way
they can't wrap it away in this
that's
volume.
what I'm saying. Like, depending on how next chapter goes, we can safely say that it won't be this volume.
I think, honestly, personally, I think it's already safe to say that this isn't the last volume.
You think? Wait, what's that?
It's already safe to say that this is not the last volume currently.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, next chapter is going to further cement that.
Solidify.
Sure.
Yeah. I get that.
For sure.
I totally see that. Well, I guess that brings me to a question I'll ask is, do you think this chapter or this battle will be longer than another chapter? Like, it will be 2-3 chapters, or is it going to end next chapter?
It depends on what.
Well, it depends on what Isayama wants. But what do you think?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, it depends on if the Titans will show up. Like, where is all the steam coming from? I remember last month, and my prediction from last month is, like, we're not going to see a big... Because you guys said last month that we're going to see a big battle and whatever, and I said if we do, it's going to be at the end tag of this, what we've been talking about, this chapter. And I was pretty much correct. I mean,
what?
I don't.
I think we were.
The battle started like halfway through the chapter.
Yeah, it's halfway through.
I personally think at least I remember saying that there was going to be a little bit of like some discussion going on, but the battle would start in this chapter, and then we'd see some in the later half or something. I'm pretty sure I said that.
Yeah, but in any case, I think that it hasn't. I think it hasn't escalated as much as it can. And I think next chapter we're going to probably see the Titans show up. Maybe.
You think
the wall Titans are gonna pop up?
Well, why would Isayama draw the smoke?
They're walking away from the island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they're going to trample the rest of the world outside.
So the way I understand it is that the smoke is like the back end of the wall Titans.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they're seeing the steam, and then the front end has already reached Marley.
Precisely.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right on that or not. I mean, it's not entirely clear.
I'm pretty sure that's the case, yeah.
So that just basically tells me, essentially, that we've reached the boiling point here in these last couple pages, and we definitely won't. This definitely won't be the last volume.
No, yeah,
I think we need an even more of a boiling point for it to be like more climactic than this, because this does not feel all that climactic.
We need the. I mean, I said I think last month too that there's going to be a battle here, but it's not going to be the last battle.
Yeah. Okay.
Eren isn't even here, or I mean,
right. Yeah.
Unless he's hiding somewhere right now. Like
like, but I keep saying
I don't think so.
For like what, the last 3 episodes, we still haven't seen it, and it continues to bug me.
Oh, it continues to stimulate me.
Yeah, that reveal is gonna be awesome.
Right?
I sure hope so.
Oh, it will.
And I don't think that reveal will be next chapter.
No.
Although now that I said that it's gonna happen, just watch. No, but no, I'm gonna stick with that. It won't be next chapter, but it will be the chapter after that.
I was just about to say that as well. Yeah.
So the ending of a volume, that can make sense.
Exactly.
Yes, that'll be the grand cliffhanger reveal of the last of this volume.
Mm-hmm.
It will be Titan, the Eren Titan.
Or actually, let me say this.
Okay.
And now we usually
go ahead and say it.
We usually don't do predictions for 2 chapters ahead, but since we're on the topic, I think the
How do you think this volume?
I think the teaser, yeah. I mean, basically, I think the teaser for the end of this volume, being the end of the next chapter, will be either Eren, as you said, or Historia.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think she's probably equally likely because she needs to come back into the story too at some point somehow, in some way.
I mean, I don't know what significance she'll play really, but I do think like that's like a piece that is missing. I mean, we got freaking Samuel and Daz back.
Exactly.
Historia. I'm still baffled that they were like the vocal point of like the last third of the chapter, and I'm like, who are you?
But it was a great scene though. Like,
I agree, and they were expendable. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
that's
true.
It's true, but it's terrible.
Actually, something that's kind of funny is that in the Attack on Titan character encyclopedia book, which is like it's like a book that has like a little bit of information about basically every single character and minor characters in all of Attack on Titan, pretty much.
Can't wait for the final volume of that one. Woo.
Right. But
sorry, keep going.
It's not totally accurate apparently, because I used it to look up Daz and Samuel, and according to that book, Samuel was dead even before this chapter. So I guess it's not totally accurate, but
whoopsies.
But hey, it did help me refresh my mind on that Samuel was the guy that fell from the wall and was saved by Sasha. So it did help me somewhat.
So I have 2 more predictions.
Give it to me.
One first is a prediction and a question. I think Flock will die, but I don't think he'll die next chapter. I think it will be the chapter after that.
I can see that happening. Yeah.
But and that's my question. Do you think Flock will die, or do you think he's gonna be there till the end and kind of be like Yelena?
I think he's definitely going to die before the end of the story, and I think he's going to die soon.
Okay.
I think he will definitely die by the end of the volume. I'm fairly certain. I would not be willing to put money down on it, but I think that it's likely enough to where I would say that it will.
Yeah.
And to further on with that big prediction, I think Mikasa will be the one to do the job because, they're both like
Spicy.
Eren.
Wait.
Fanboys, I guess you could say. But
okay, interesting.
Spicy.
That's I feel like it would be more satisfying if someone other than Mikasa did it, probably.
Oh, really?
Like Jean.
Oh, why Jean? Oh!
I think,
yeah,
because there's been a lot of building up between Jean
there's a lot of tension between those two.
Flock, yeah. I think, personally, he's the guy I'd like to see killing Flock.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
And it would also, if he actually killed him, would also be another step in his development, since he's always struggled with killing the enemy.
True.
And if he would shoot Flock straight in the head, that I would fucking stand up, clap my hands like I never clapped before.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. I guess I just said Mikasa because I thought like their Eren connection could make a thing, but yeah, it'd probably be more interesting with Jean.
I think so. As for my death predictions,
Oh yes, I didn't hear that.
no, well, so other than Flock, because I'm pretty sure he's going to bite the dust here in this encounter. Whether it be I like depending on how long this fight is, obviously, if it's the next chapter or the one after the next chapter. But I think he's going to die, and I think it's also possible that either Hanji or Connie could die.
Oh, really?
I feel like
Connie more than Hanji.
I feel like if any of the Alliance members die here, it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. If
the thing is, I think we said a little earlier that Hanji's unlikely.
I did, but Petter thinks differently. Petter thinks that she will, like she's ripe for destruction.
Yeah, well, because I think her death would lead to some interesting interactions and developments for the other characters.
I just don't think it's time yet.
Maybe not yet.
Is my thinking.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You do bring a good point, though. Of the squad members, those two are the most likely to die. Mm-hmm. Like, Jean is not going to die. And obviously Mikasa and Armin are, they're the Wonder Trio, part of the Wonder Trio, so they're not going to die.
Right.
So yeah, and especially since Connie has had a lot of character growth, and he has this moment right now, which was I think was a big payoff for a lot of that growth that we had before with his mom and whatnot. Yeah, I think a death it does seem plausible.
Yeah.
But I almost want him to survive, or I don't want to see him die until he sees Eren as the Titan.
Okay.
All right.
And so we have that. So we have at least like the main pieces of the squad, except for Historia, see Eren's Titan. But I don't know. You do bring a good point.
I don't know. Either way, it's gonna. I mean, as I've said before, in Isayama we trust. Yes. Either way, it's gonna be it's gonna be good.
It's worked out so far.
Right, exactly. So I'm not concerned or anything, but I feel like having some of the main players dying, I think that can up the stakes some more, make it a bit more exciting, and lead to some interesting stuff.
I remember I did have a I wouldn't say it a complaint, but I guess it was a concern that. It was either last chapter, the chapter before, or just a general statement where I'm like, we need some more stakes or like some risk being taken. Like, I just felt like there wasn't as much like oomph to the scenes in the
I think it was the one before last chapter.
Yeah.
You said something like that.
So basically I'm looking for, I guess, a character death would do it.
So you don't think it's there with this chapter yet?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I didn't raise that complaint this entire discussion.
No, you didn't. I just wasn't sure if you were, because it made it sound like you're still waiting for it. So I wasn't sure.
I'm feeling like I could still use it more, even though I don't really see, other than Flock, I don't really see a character death happening in the next 2 chapters. Even, yeah, I mean, I've said that already, but
I mean, it's possible.
Something needs to happen still.
Well, I mean, you say something needs to happen, and the death would fill that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very interested to see how what the aftermath of this conflict right now would be. Mm-hmm. That's really all I have to say, I think.
My last prediction is that they will not this next chapter, or whenever this battle is finished, whether it is next chapter or the chapter after that, Yelena will take them to where Eren is. I'm gonna stick with my gut, thinking that Yelena does know, and since they kill Flock, as we're predicting, or at least Petter and I are predicting, once they kill Flock, because I doubt Flock would tell them.
Yeah.
They have to just trust in Yelena that she knows where Eren is heading. Mm-hmm. And that could be interesting. Like maybe she is lying. But that's my prediction, that she will kind of be not their guide, but she will tell them where to go, and she'll be on the plane with them.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what I wanted to say.
And I agree with that, because I feel like it would probably be anticlimactic if it turns out she doesn't know. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I haven't been incredibly great at predicting things. So.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's hard. With Attack on Titan, it's hard to predict things for sure.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't feel like I have too much in like as far as like predictions go. Other than, I mean, I mentioned a couple characters I thought could be dying here soon, but like as far as like more specific like things that could happen, I don't really have anything concrete in mind. Obviously, I think this encounter is going to continue in the next chapter. Either it's going to end next chapter or the chapter after.
I don't think
that.
I don't think we have any. Do we have any stragglers right now? Anyone who is outside of the conflict?
Yeah, we have Zeke and Historia.
Like Historia, yeah.
Historia, okay. Because I'm just like, how likely is it that we see Historia or Aaron or anyone outside of the...
Mm-hmm. That's the wild card there, because you don't know if Ishiyama's gonna Isayama. Oh my gosh, I called him like Rock Mountain. If Isayama is going to have like a flashback to some other character, or or even go to a different scene. You never know.
True.
Well, he has been known for doing like, or at least from what I've been reading from Marley on, where like he'll spend like a third of a chapter like setting up something and then going to present day. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Could be something like that.
Yeah,
it could be that the next chapter starts with Zeke or Historia wherever they are.
What is Zeke doing?
We don't know.
We can go this way for a while.
Zeke is the biggest unknown right now, which I feel makes sense with his character because he is such a dubious guy. I mean, he's literally betrayed every single character in the story at one point or another. So I have no idea what he's up to, where he's going. What could be interesting if Zeke somehow ended up where Historia is, like at the farm where she is. Because, like, she's pregnant with a baby, and he's, like, anti-birth.
Baby's bad.
That would be so weird.
It could be interesting, but, I mean, I don't fucking know.
At this point, we're just spitballing.
Kind of are. But, yeah, I think we're probably all...
That would be interesting. Yeah, we should probably...
It could be interesting, but I think we've said most of the things we wanted to say.
The legitimate predictions.
I think we were all happy with this chapter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I'm glad. And thank you so much to everyone who's listened. Join our Discords if you'd like. There's links in the description. And feel free to check out other things on our YouTube channel if you're on YouTube listening to this. We're also on Spotify. Well, we'll see you guys next month where we will talk about chapter 129. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry it was so long.